Let's bring the iridescent rainbow mist down from the great central sun, along with the beautiful golden light of all that is. They're all together. Swirl them down, 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 down your point of essence, and move them down the crown and swirl it down through your core. And then touching you from within. And allow it to move back out into your auric field. This beautiful, beautiful love, pure love that we call source, call the morphogenic field, whatever you wish. Feel it. Know the chakras are in perfect balance. Let it go down into the earth, into your earth star. Feel that beautiful connectiveness. Go in, find the child in the fifth chamber of the heart. Pick him up, hold him in your arms, put your arms around him. Invite him to listen to Kryon. Kryon loves those little inner kids. Invite your child to share with you anything that they wish to, because they'll have a fabulous space to do it in during the channeling. And listen to him. The only thing I ask you to say to that child is, I love you. You are perfect. You are beautiful. You are love. Breathe deeply. Know it is so. And so it is.
Greetings, dear ones. I am Kryon of Magnetic Service. It's a core group here, and there are many old souls. Not all that sit in the seats are old souls, but most are. The attribute of an old soul is a human being who has been on the earth over and over in different expressions, which you would call incarnations. And inside, as you sit in the chair, you know it. For you know how things work. Inside you feel that which is a wise human being in the things which we would call spiritual or esoteric. And so again, we call upon what we would say innate. Innate, that being an overview that you have inside, but that often stands apart from you, which knows you. Innate is what you trust when you decide to do things such as muscle testing and kinesiology. Innate is that which lives in the field of the DNA, which is intelligent. And we've talked about that before. Innate is what talks to you and says, you've been here before. And so if you were to examine yourself right now and ask, have I been here before? Is any of this true? If you let it, innate will talk back and give you the chills, give you the acknowledgement, give you the joy and the feeling that you cannot fake. It comes from inside and goes out. That says, yes, you're part of a grand plan that you don't know about when you're here. You've helped set the stage for an event on the planet that consciousness has only dreamed about for millenniums. And here you are. You're in a place of study. You're in a place that wants to know more about the energy that is taking place. You're in a seat on purpose, in a venue that is designed for teaching. One speaks to many, many speak to one. And that tells a lot to Spirit about who is here and why. Very few are here to be entertained, very few. We are aware of the ones who are here because of the ones next to them. We are aware of the shamans in the audience. We are aware of the old souls, the Lemurians, a few from Tibet, several from India. Old souls, you know who you are. You know some of the things that you desire, which would tell you, perhaps, where you've been in past lives. Proclivity for, perhaps, vegetarianism, certain kinds of doshas. You find yourself in a society that has none of those things really pasted upon the billboards, and yet you want them all. Old souls have that. There are hints of who you've been. And you can pick them up, how you think, how you eat, what you do, what you believe. And most of all, how wise do you think you are? And this is not ego. I'm talking about right inside in the core issue. How wise do you think you are? And I will tell you, I'm looking at wisdom here. That's what this gathering is about today. Wise old souls. To feed a wise old soul, I cannot give you pablum, cannot give you those things which are simple, and so we will get complicated. And that's what you came for. We're going to talk about systems today and non-systems. We're going to talk about what things mean. We're going to remind you of ancient history, and we're going to get very esoteric. So we start by expanding the study that is in the book that is called 12. And you knew we would. To add on to the information that is there in a way that is verbal, perhaps that will be transcribed, that you will know more about this, the current energy on the planet that you sit in now. As you then apply it to the knowledge that was given to you, not only about DNA, but about numerology. So let us discuss numerology. I know who is here. I know the studiers who are here. And there isn't anything I'm going to say that will offend any of you. For those of you who studied the ancient numbers systems and know how complex it is, you know it cannot be taught on a stage for 20 minutes. And I'm not going to do that. Instead, we're going to examine the process and we're going to apply it to 2011. Is there a message in 2011? Let us start with numerology. Numerology is the study of the energy in numbers. And there are many who do not understand this. Well, they do not feel any energy around the numbers. It must be studied. It must be understood. It is not all three-dimensional. Just like spiritual things are beyond 3D, so is the very essence of numerology. You must think out of your dimensionality. You must give credibility to that which is energy around a number. And here's a statement I'm going to make. Numerology is not a system. If you look at the numbers of physics and you study physics, you realize that physics is not a system. It's a map. It's a map of formulas of how the Creator set the worlds in motion. It's a map that sits in front of you that once you understand it, you can use a system applied to the map for a rocket ship to Mars. And so the system gets you to Mars using the map of physics. You start thinking this way, and you will understand that numerology is an esoteric energy map. It's the map that you want to see, for the map helps you to guide your life in a certain way that makes it easier to understand. The map, like any map, does not force you to go one way or the other. The map just lays there and is. And as much as you wish to study the map is your free choice. But the more you study it, the more it helps your life. With that simple explanation, we look then at numerological aspects of the year 2011. We use the simplest form, the original form, the ancient form of numerology. We look at the single digits added together to other single digits and the energies that are around them. But here is the acknowledgement for those of you who are studying numerology and just getting into it, is that you cannot simply ignore the digits. You have a tendency to add them up, get a solution, and put all of the energy on the solution. And that is not appropriate. For in the process, you've thrown away the numbers that had energy to give the solution. So we must look at 2, 0, 1, 1. Let's not even add it up yet. Let's just look at it for a moment. If there's energies around numbers and you are familiar with what they are, what they mean, let's look at the map. There are those in the audience who say this is not really very accurate. You see, those numbers were not random. They have to be random. No, they don't. They can be sequential and still have meaning. In fact, if they are sequential, you can look ahead and know something you would not have known otherwise about what's coming up. So the years and the numbers of the years are planned sequentially, and this is not a surprise. 2011. Don't add it up yet. When you do, you'll know what this year is about in general. Some of you already have. 2011. In numerological terms, the 2 represents what you would call duality and we call polarity. Polarity is the energy that is developed between that is divine and that which is linear. That is the human life, which is seemingly ordinary, and that which is divine inside the human. Some call it a battle, some call it a confluence of energy, some call it a marriage, some call it joy. Did you know that? Don't assign a negative aspect to polarity or duality. What if you have conquered duality? What if you're absolutely aligned with the polarity between the divine and the human? What if you love it? What if you figured it out? Would it be negative? No. What if it generates joy in your life every time you awaken and your eyes open up and you say, this is good. I am here with the essence of God inside. I am here to plant the seeds of peace on the planet. I can hardly wait. Let's go. And now that won't be all of you. But what if it was? Would it be a negative thing? Well, that's polarity. And that's what 2 represents. Very simply, 2. The polarity between the divine and the non-divine. What happens when you take the non-divine and you have realization within it that it's divine? What happens to polarity when there are no more poles? Did you ever think of that? Does it then become a 1? That's a joke. All right. There are even jokes in numerology. So you have polarity. Next you have the 0. And you would say, well, we skip the 0, it has no value. That's not true. It may not have a value as you assign it in 3 dimensions, for it is not 1 through 9. Nor is it a placeholder. 0 has a significant value of having no value. And that is a value, if you think of it. It is important. Sometimes it simply separates the other numbers so that you can see the map better. And sometimes it plays a more important part even than that. If you look at it quantumly, don't. Not yet. That's another channel. And next you have the 1, but it sits next to itself, another 1. The simple rules of numerology say that that cannot be taken as a 1, it must be taken as an 11. 11 is the first series of master numbers, 11, 22, 33, 44. Only 3 master numbers of 9 are identified to humanity. Do you know why? There is no consensus on 44, 55, 66, 77. Do you know why? Because you're not there yet. You do not have the consciousness to understand what they mean. The spirituality, the grandness, the physics around them is beyond the scope of where you are for now. I will give this prediction that within the next generation, those who study numerology, those who know the system, those who know what's coming, will be given a beautiful solution for 44. And then you'll know that you are evolving just as we said you were. Evolving spiritually, compassionately. So here you have the 2, the 0, and the 11. What is the 11? Illumination. It is also the number of Kryon. It is also the number you keep seeing on your clocks, do you not? That's not an accident. Many of you are seeing the 1111 and half for over 17 years. It is the symbol for the shift. It is the symbol of synchronicity that says to the old soul, you have arrived at a place you knew you would be. Look, it's here. Look, it's here. It is not a mistake you're seeing 1111. And may I take a moment to say it's not fair if you look at 1110 and stare at it for a while. It must present itself in its fullness when you don't expect it. Over and over and over, out of synchronicity. 11, illumination. Let's put them together. Don't add them up yet. What do we have? What is the meaning? Well, one which we will give you is the illumination of polarity. Did you think of that? What is this year about? The illumination of duality and polarity. If you illuminate something, you put light on it, and it might have been in the dark, giving you information you did not have before. Now that really doesn't mean what you have when you add it up. It gives you an insight within the number you're about to add. We'll return to the insight. What does it add up to? The 4. The 4, it's the year of Gaia. For the 4 is the earth. If you've noticed already what is going on the planet, we don't just speak about the weather, we speak of many things. We speak of that which is volcanic. We speak of the things that even Gaia spoke of when Gaia stood and spoke eloquently at the Grand Canyon and said, we're not done yet. Expect shift, expect more upheavals, expect more weather. Gaia knows. And by the way, at the same time Gaia would say that, and Kryon would say that, we also say the same thing to you. That is, dear old soul, you sense energy. You will be in the right place at the right time. Don't fear these changes. They're on schedule, on target. I've channeled before why, when, even given you some predictions of some of your largest earthquakes, so you would not be shocked when they arrived. Very predictable they are. Because when the poles even melt slightly, they redistribute the water onto the thin crust of the planet. It pushes in ways it has not pushed for eons, and the result is earthquakes and volcanoes. It's not the end of the world, it's simply the water cycle. My partner will explain it tomorrow. It's the year of Gaia. All right. We knew that. You knew that. Let's go back to the subtleties, the illumination of duality. How shall we apply that? And what is the best way? More esoterics. If you're going to apply anything in your life, numerologically, you're going to have to look at how it applies to you. Not your neighbor, not in general. You're going to want to bring it to yourself. You're here to work on something, are you not? There are purposes in every chair. Why are you here? Is it just to know more? Is it to find joy in your life? Is it to heal yourself? Are there frustrations that have laid upon you that you'd like to clear? Would you like to have things that you never had before and you know they're inside there? You've been told they are. Every single one of you has a different purpose to be in the chair. Now, I want to show you something. I want to show you attitude. You come with a problem, we bring an entourage of love. We bring solution. We're not going to fix anything you have. We're going to show you how you can fix anything you have. And that is not new news. So what do? You start by examining the energy of numerology pulled into you. How are you going to pull it into you? Are you going to visualize a rope and pull something esoteric that you don't really understand into what? What is the process of then using the map? Now we get into places that some of you will say, I don't understand where he went and why he did it. You must do it with your DNA. And then there are those who say, oh, there's Kryon again talking about biology. Why don't you talk about spiritual things? I want to know about my angels. I want to know about my guides. I want to know about esoteric. I want to know about the things. I want to know about ETs. And there you go again with a molecule. You know? All right. Let's talk about the molecule. But let's talk about it in a way that may surprise you. The first time in recorded history, the magnificence of the DNA field was seen and recorded. I've given the example before. I will make it brief, but I will tell you there is significance. I bring it to you now on purpose so you will see what I want you to see. The ancient prophet Elijah was a prophet to all of the main religions today. For those who are Hebrew and Israeli, and those are Islam, and those are Christian, all looked at Elijah as a great prophet, one of the father prophets, wise. All respected them. Elijah did something that no other human being had ever done. He wished to ascend while alive, and he wanted it recorded. That is to say, transcribed, written down, seen by somebody, on schedule, with an appointment. And he did it. And he chose his understudy, Elisha, to watch him. I've given the story so many times. You know what? It's grand every time it's given. Elisha made an agreement with Elijah. Master, I'll do whatever you want to. If you're really leaving, I'm going to miss you. But please, I would like you to pass me your mantle. Now, perhaps that's not been explained well, and I'm going to tell you what you're looking at is something so advanced that even today it's not even spoken of. We have two men who are spiritual. One is about to ascend and leave the planet. The other one is asking to take all of the wisdom he ever had from the first and transfer it to the second. You know how that's usually done? They both have to die. And they do it on the other side of the veil, and one comes back with the other's wisdom. Not this time. And they looked at each other's eyes. And Elijah smiled and he said, you got it. It's yours. Let history show that after the passing of Elijah, Elisha went on to do grand and great things, even some which are greater than the master Elijah himself. He took the wisdom and the mantle of the prophet Elijah, pasted it upon himself. All of it was intact, and he went from there to become even wiser now. You tell me what that process is, and I will tell you it was not 3D. I'll tell you it is one of the most esoteric things that's ever occurred, and no one speaks of it. How would you like to pass your wisdom to someone else with an appointment? Oh, that's a subject for another channel. Quantum, it is. Beautiful it is, a process it is. And by the way, it has something to do with 44. A spiritual being called a human with the ability to pass attributes to another human at death. You've never heard of it, have you? Even the shamans could not do that. They tried. They couldn't. Elijah walked into the field with Elisha watching. And as the scripture says in what you would call 2 Kings, we invite you to look at it. This is the history of what took place. Elijah turned into a ball of light. Elisha was riding as fast as he could. Here's what's going on. He felt the impact. A ball of light. Now I want you to see what did not happen and verify it for yourself. No light in the sky came down to get Elijah. Do you realize that? Nothing came down from above. This was all generated by the human being who with his own spirituality and power turned into the part of God that he was. And he couldn't stay very long or he'd vaporize everything around him. Elisha saw it, didn't know what it was. It's amazing. Almost instantly, as Elisha tells it, there were 3 kinds of entities that would come down and then assist Elijah into the heavens. The metaphor was that Elijah was riding a chariot pulled by 3 white horses. Always a metaphor, but I want you to look at the numerology, the 3. It's always about the 3, the catalytic 3. It's in spirituality everywhere. You'll find it in every single religion. There's something about the 3. Even we say we are using the 3rd language above you. Beyond that which we are telling you now, the 3rd language is the catalytic communication of God to men. It was the communication to Elisha of what Elijah was experiencing. Elisha was overwhelmed. He named the event, the chariot that Elijah rode in. In Hebrew, he said, it is to ride. Merkaba. Merkaba. Now I will tell you what Elisha saw. The first human in history to gaze upon that which is created in every single human being out to 8 meters, called the DNA quantum field. If you have God inside every single piece of your DNA and it begins to be activated, you will have the same experience Elijah did. And so there it is, DNA, yet again, not just biology, not just a module, but the carrier of all that is spiritual in every single human being. That Akashic record is there. Everything you've ever done is there. All your life lessons are there. Your spirituality is there. Your angelic name is there. All of those things, unique to every single human being. So now that we have established this and we've shown you what we want to show you, that the field is what we're talking about. The quantum field that is around each of you, that is palatable, that can be sensed and felt, that you can use, that you're studying. So let's talk about it. We identified the layers of DNA to you. You have it in a book. You have their Hebrew names, all the names of God. Isn't that interesting? Do you see how every single layer is honored? There's nothing ordinary about them. So which one, if you have to grasp a concept about what you're doing for you, which one of those conceptual layers would you work on this year? And so we're going to tell you. And we're going to give you the example. And we really want to nail it so you don't forget it. This is as important a channel as we've ever given, as simple as we've ever given, you'll see. Oh, and there are those who know the layers already say, well, it's got to be layer 6. That's the higher self. It's got to be that one. After all, the higher self is the portal of communication. When you go to meditate, that's what you're activating. That's the pipeline. When you call upon joy inside, that's the pipeline. It's got to be that one. That's what you're working on. And I'll say, it is not. No, it is not. It's got to be number 10 then. That's a very spiritual layer. It's to do with the essence of your existence, your divinity. Divinity source of your existences. It's got to be that one. It talks about the creative source. It talks about that which is not God, but the creator. An energy apart from God, which is representation of all that is and the creation of the universe. And I'll say, no, it's not that one. Well, perhaps it's 12, you might say. Now, 12 is very difficult to understand because it's simple. It's called Almighty God. But how's that going to... What is that in your DNA? I'll tell you what it is. It's the face of God in you. Almighty God in you is what people see when you are compassionate. It's what people see when you're in love. It's what people see when you're celebrating and you're joyful. The benevolence of creation itself. Yeah, it's got to be that one. Well, it isn't. Oh, those are important. They're all important. No. You already have a hint. For it's pasted upon the name of the year. It's number 11. And this is where we get in trouble. Because it's not understood. So I'm going to explain it. Number 11 is defined, is the wisdom of the divine feminine. And this is where we lose all the men. For in 3D, you don't really want that, men, because you think of gossamer things and feminine things, goddess energy. All the things that you would say are not necessarily commensurate to your gender. That's 3D, and it isn't so. First of all of you have been both genders. You know that, don't you? You take turns. We've just discussed this many times. You must know that this is part of the system. It develops the balance over many expressions and incarnations of who you are today. The woman who has the warrior energy, the man who has the feminine energy that is gentle. It is in all of you. You are all a mixture. So I can speak of the wise, divine, feminine, and I speak to every single one in the room. So I'm going to define it in a way that you're going to understand. First of all, what is the wisdom of the divine feminine? In one or two words, what is that wisdom? What are you working on? That's just a name. So let us talk about the functionality of what it is. And the wisdom of the divine feminine is compassion. That's the key word. And you heard that before, didn't you? You even heard that from Adamus, didn't you? You've heard that from Gaia, haven't you? Compassion. What kind of compassion? Compassion for other people? Yes. It's more than that. And I'm going to explain it to you in words you're going to understand. And the reason it is linked to the feminine is the reason I'm going to give you now, because you only have one example where you're all going to understand, and even the men in the room are going to understand because you have had this experience, old soul. You sit in that male body and you're so proud of it. You've had this experience, and when I start talking about it, you are going to remember giving birth. There's nothing like it. It etches something into the persona of every single human being when the angels stand around the bed and you hear the cry of the child. And it's so joyful. And if you're fortunate enough to be in a situation where you lay the child on the chest of a mother, and perhaps the child looks up for a moment, and it's first eye contact. And that's what I want to talk about right now. How much do you love the child? What would you give that on a scale of 1 to 100? And the mothers in the room are saying 120. There's nothing like it. The creation of life. It's got all the patterning of you in the child. All the appropriate things that have come through. Esoterically, here is a child you expected. Esoterically, it might even be a past relative. You know that, don't you? That's how it works. You know that, don't you? Esoterically, the child selected you. Esoterically, you selected the child. That moment is magic. And if you understand these things, it's even more magical. But if you're even totally ignorant to any of these things, it's still magical. Because there is the love. It cannot be described between the infant and the mother. Now we're going to play a game. It's an imaginary game. As we look at this love, and I'm going to give you the metaphor, and I'm going to tell you what it means, and I want to tell you what the compassion is that the wise divine feminine carries. It's not just the compassion for other human beings on the planet. It's compassion for you and God. It is compassion for the relationship of the duality. That which is divine, opposite that which is then not divine. A polarity which is human. It is the cord between them that is compassionate, is the communication between you and God. That is the metaphor. When you solve who God is in your life, in your body, everything else starts to clear up. So let's play a game. Suddenly the child is ageless and intelligent. Suddenly time is suspended. Suddenly the child starts asking you questions. And for just a moment, the child is going to query you about who you are and what you want. Now make no mistake what the metaphor is, because what this child is going to be told by the mother is what I want to tell every single one in the chair about God and you. The child speaks to the mother. What's my life going to be like with you? Who are you really? What are you going to do? And of course, the mother will look down at the child and say, well, the first thing I'm going to do is keep myself a secret from you. You're going to have to really work hard to find out how much I love you. I'm going to have to compartmentalize it and put it in places where you're really going to have to search to find it. There's a lot of secrets. Are you going to say that to your child, Mom? Or are you going to say the opposite? I am here for you. I am here for you. I am wide open for you, and I'm going to be next to you all your life. You're never going to have to search for me, and there's no secret. There's no secret. Doesn't matter what the system is. I'm here. That's what you're going to say, are you not? To this being who has just arrived? What else, Mom? What else? What else? I hope you get this straight. Listen to this. Would you then, Mom, look at the child in the child's eyes and say, now also, in order for you to have a good relationship with me, I want you to suffer a little. Not only that, there's going to be some performance attributes. Oh, a few thousand stairs to climb. We want to swat you down a few times, make you uncomfortable, make you feel awful. Are you going to say that? And the answer is no. And I want to tell you, neither does God say that to you. Listen to me. Human being, this does not have to be difficult. Human beings have put human rules on God. They've made God a human being, even given God a gender, even put wars in heaven, and all the other things they've done to humanize the creator of the universe, Don't buy it. That is not our relationship, old soul, and never has been. And I want you to come away from this place knowing who you are. The child that lays on the chest of the Almighty, looking in the eyes of God. Let's have the next question. God, what do you want? What do you want from me? I want you to love me all your life. I know there'll be difficult times, and there's times you won't understand what's going on, because I know you're a child and you're going to have growing pains. And I know there'll be times when you retreat from me and you come back, but I want you to know I'm always here and my hand's always out, and you can call me anytime. And that is the relationship of us to you. I represent a piece on the other side of the veil who can speak openly and freely to old souls in this place that say this is the relationship of compassion. And that is what this year is about. What else, God? What else do you want? What does the mother say over a period of years? The child grows up and the mother says, well, why don't you come to dinner? Come on over to dinner. Even when the child has the life of their own, has figured everything out, has their own family, mom says, come on over. Doesn't matter how old you are, what you think you know, shaman. God is still saying, why don't you come to dinner? I'll give you the big one. Why don't you call me sometime? And you don't have to be Jewish. That's what I want to give you right now. All of that is real. That's what you're going to tell the child. Love for life. Could it be simpler? Could it be more profoundly pure? Why does it have to be like entrapped in human form, in human attributes, in judgment, good and bad? That's not who we are. That's not what you're going to tell your child, are you? Are you? Mom, Dad. And neither do we. And so the word is compassion. It responds to the 11 in the year. It responds to that which is 11 in DNA. It responds to that energy that you have that you would work on now. For when you get the compassion going, in that polarity of yours between God and man, and you solve it, it's no longer duality. It's a singularity that is you and God as one. And everyone will see it on your face. Then the healing begins. Then the problems are solved. And then you seed peace on earth. It's the first step. 2011, 1 year away from the center point of 2012 energy. What are you going to do with this? Why don't you take it as truth this day? Why don't you take us up on our offer? Why don't you call us sometime? Tonight, perhaps, would it hurt that much to lift your hands to the sky and say, I love you, God? And don't be surprised if you feel a hand in yours saying, it's about time you called. And that is tonight's message. That's what the year is about. Stay centered. Stay compassionate. There will be distractions. Old soul, you are in a battle. We told you you would be. The battle of the old and the new energy is not pleasant. Some of you are going through things you didn't expect. Stay centered. For that which is in you, which is God, is still your parent. The seeds are there and will always be there. The love is eternal. And I've said it. And the old souls who needed to have heard it. Let the healing begin. And so it is.